everyone and welcome to my channel. Now for my first case, I really wanted to do one that interested me personally, and this is one of my favourite true crime cases in general. It's just very interesting and there's not a lot of evidence. It's just very creepy to say the least. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old student studying at the University of British Columbia. At the time of her death, she was actually completing a solo tour on the west coast of America, and her parents in Canada obviously worried about her. She was only 21 and it's a long way to be from home, so every day she would call them and tell them where she was, tell them what she was doing so that they knew she was okay. On the 26th of January 2013, Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown LA, which is a very seedy hotel to say the least. If you've heard about the Cecil, you'll know what I mean, but it is in a very rough area known for homelessness and drug use. When Elisa first checked into the hotel, she actually was placed in a shared room but moved after 2 days because her roommates complained about her odd behaviour, so she was moved to her own room. So it's not actually stated what kind of odd behaviour Elisa was displaying when she was in the shared room, but she did suffer from bipolar disorder and depression, so it could be something linked to that, and we'll get into that a bit later on. On the 31st of January 2013, Elisa was due to check out of the Cecil, but that day she didn't ring her parents, which was obviously very unlike her. She used to ring them every single day. Immediately her mum knew something was wrong, so she called the LA police and also took a flight out to LA from Vancouver to help with the search. So police were very quick on this case, and they immediately started speaking to all the hotel staff trying to work out who was the last person to see her. It turns out that the last person to see Elisa was a bookshop owner, where Elisa had gone in and was buying gifts for her family to take back home. The woman who owned the shop said Elisa was outgoing, lively and chatty, and Elisa was actually asking about like the weight of the items that she was buying. That to me just kind of shows that she was planning on going home. Like, why would you ask about that if you wasn't planning on travelling home? But anyway, police spoke to her cell staff and everyone said that they'd seen her alone that day. No one had seen her with anyone else. So police actually searched the hotel, or what they could have, because they couldn't search every room because of warrants and stuff, but they did search Elisa's room and the rooftop, and there was no scent found by the dogs of Elisa. A week later, and nothing had come of this case. Like, no one had seen Elisa, no one had heard from her, so police started putting up flyers in the hope that someone would recognise them and come forward with some leads. Still, a week after that, on the 15th of February, nothing still was happening. Nobody had seen her, nobody had heard from her, and everyone was getting really worried. So they decided to go a bit more public with the case and actually to release this video of Elisa in an elevator in the Hotel Cecil on the day of her disappearance. And it's very creepy to say the least. If you don't want to watch it, I'll add a timestamp into the bio so you can just skip ahead, because it is quite, there's no like gore or anything, it's just very unsettling. It's very creepy to watch. So after that video was released, people started throwing around theories about what Elisa was doing in that video. Like, there's a few things that she was doing that were a bit strange. Like, she walked into the elevator and she started pressing all of the buttons. The way she's peering out and stuff looks like she's maybe hiding from someone, and then she like ducks into the corner, which kind of looks like she's trying to avoid someone in the hallway. And then at one point you can actually see, and she looks like she's talking to someone and she's kind of like gesturing with her hand. A few people believe that the actual video was tampered with because the timestamp on the bottom left of the video was all funny, and people believe that it had been slowed down and sped up. An explanation for why this could have been tampered with is because obviously if someone else in the hotel that was unrelated to Elisa's death was in this video, they'd have to protect their identity so that nobody would think they were involved. During the search for Elisa, hotel guests started complaining about low water pressure in their rooms and that the water had a funny taste and would come out black and then run clear. So on February 19th, staff went up to the roof where there was 4 big 4-foot by 8-foot water tanks, and upon opening one of these tanks, they found the body of Elisa Lam naked and floating. Inside the tank, they found her clothes, her room key and her watch, but her phone was never found. It wasn't in her room and it wasn't on her, and the police never found it. It was presumed stolen. On February 21st, the coroner issued the results from the toxicology screenings that they did on Elisa, and they were incomplete because not enough blood remained in her body for them to test on. There was no evidence of trauma or sexual assault or any apparent suicide on Elisa's body. The results came back and there were no levels of recreational drugs in her system. There were only trace amounts of prescription medication found, and she was on 4 different types of medication for her bipolar disorder and depression. There was a very, very low blood alcohol level. There was like 0.02%, which is very, very tiny. Some people believe that if there was anything in her body on the day of her death, it'd been like over 2 weeks since she'd gone missing, that because she was so decomposed that anything was in her body would just have broken down. So there were just a few things that don't really add up in this case, and one being where Elisa was found. The rooftop was only accessible by doors and windows which staff had the passcodes to, and these were alarmed, so if any other person tried to get through them, the alarm would be set off. There was only one other way that she could have got onto the roof without a key or a passcode, and that's through the fire exit. During the initial search for Elisa, the dogs didn't find any trace of her on the roof, which, considering she disappeared like that day, that's just very strange. Like, why wouldn't there be any scent of her on the roof? It's just worth mentioning. So another thing is the tank in which Elisa was found. Now, these were very tall and they had to have a 10-foot ladder to go up to them. And as well as this, obviously she was found without any clothes on and her clothes were inside with her. The lids were very heavy. If you've ever been playing hide and seek and you've tried to close a wardrobe door by yourself, I know that's not the same thing, but it's not easy to do. Like, I don't know how you do that yourself, especially if you're stood in water. It's just a very, very strange theory that I personally don't think she could have done that by herself. A lot of people believe that Elisa was going through some kind of psychotic episode and that led up to the circumstances surrounding her death. But it is worth mentioning that even though she suffered with bipolar disorder and depression, her family said that she was never suicidal. Elisa's phone was actually presumed stolen after her death, but a post went out onto her public blog after she'd already died, and nobody really knows where this came from. They don't know if it was from her stolen phone or a hacker, but that's just very, very creepy. I personally believe that some sort of foul play was involved with this case. I think there's just too many weird things that don't add up about it. I would love to hear your guys' theories about what happened in this case. I think it's just so interesting and there's so many things that could have happened. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever find out. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far, and please subscribe to my channel and leave a thumbs up because it would really, really help me out. Bye guys.